Biomagnetism. In this chapter, we will learn about another specific attribute of vital energy. This attribute is of the greatest importance for our magical work. We already know that any object, any animal, any human being, any thought form can be charged with vital energy and with the appropriate wish for its realization. The vital energy possesses the attribute of being able to accept, be influenced by, or connect with any thoughts, even thoughts and feelings that are foreign. For this reason, the concentrated vital energy will soon merge with other thoughts and will therefore weaken the effectiveness of the impregnated thought. The thought could even vanish, unless the magician calls forth, through frequent repetition, an increased tension. By doing so, he stimulates the wish or the idea, which often causes a great loss of time and at times also influences the success adversely. The desired influence is only effective as long as the tension prevails in its desired direction. Once that is no longer the case, the vital energy fades or vanishes and mingles with the other vibrations, and the effect gradually subsides. In order to prevent this from occurring, the magician must become acquainted with the law of biomagnetism. Vital energy not only accommodates one idea, one concept, one thought or one feeling, but also accepts a concept of time. This law or this specific attribute of vital energy must always be taken into consideration when working with vital energy or later on when working with the elements. Each time you work with the impregnation of a wish with the help of the vital energy, you must always consider both time and space. When working magically, you must always adhere to the following rules. 1. Working in the Okosho principle is spaceless and timeless. 2. In the mental sphere you work with time. 3. In the astral sphere you work with space, form and color. 4. In the material or physical world you work with time and space simultaneously. With the help of some examples, I will make working with biomagnetism understandable. With the help of vital energy, charge or load a room with the wish that you will feel healthy and well in that room. You limit, or, better, confine the energy with the wish that the influence will remain constant for as long as you are in the room and live in it. When you leave the room or perhaps are absent for longer periods of time, the influence constantly renews itself and then stabilizes itself. Should someone enter your room without being aware that an accumulation of vital energy is prevalent, such a person will also feel quite comfortable in your room. At times you can reinforce the density and the strength of the radiance in your room, apartment, or house by repeating your wish. When you live in a room or house which is influenced in this manner, the vital energy which is thus confined will have a continuous good influence upon your health, upon your body. The vital energy in this particular room has the wish vibration for health only. However, should you practice exercises in this room which pursue another idea vibration and which have nothing whatsoever to do with health, then you will not achieve the good results you would achieve in a room that is not charged at all or in a room charged with a wish in accordance with your idea. It is therefore advisable to impregnate a room with idea vibrations, which you require for your present exercises and tasks. You can also charge a ring, a gemstone, etc., with a wish, and whosoever wears it will meet with success and good fortune. There are two methods of charging and determining a time limit. The first method is as follows: with the power of imagination and wish concentration, charge the gemstone or the metal with vital energy and determine the time. You may choose that the energy should remain in the object permanently and even draw more energy from the universe and continuously increase its power and bring success and good fortune as long as the person wears the object, whether it be a ring with a gemstone, etc. Or you can charge the particular object for just a short period of time. For example, you can charge it in such a manner that the influence ceases immediately when the desired purpose has been fulfilled. The second method is called universal loading or charging. The procedure is the same, you only change the wish concentration to last as long as the object, ring, gemstone, jewelry, exists. Regardless of who the wearer is or will be, it will bring him constant good fortune, success, etc. Universal loadings of this kind, if performed by an initiate, retain the energy with complete effectiveness for centuries. We know from the history of the Egyptian mummies how these types of energies or powers may still be effective even after thousands of years. Should a talisman or object which was charged for a particular person come into the possession of another person, it will have no effect upon him. An ailing person, whether it be in person by magnetic strokes or the laying on of hands, or at a distance through the imagination and the will, the magician must always consider the law of time if he wants to achieve great success. The most commonly used magnetizing method is the one wherein the magnetopath, with the help of the imagination, has his vital energy flow out of his body into the ailing person, mostly through his hands. This method requires a magnetopath who is completely healthy and who has an abundant supply of vital energy, so as not to endanger his own health. I have seen sad cases in which the magnetopath, by relinquishing too much of his own vital energy, incurred so much harm to his health that he was close to a nervous breakdown, besides all the other side effects such as heart ailments, heart asthma, and so on. Consequences of this nature are inevitable when the magnetopath expends more vital energy than he is capable of replenishing, especially if he has many patients in the same time span. This method also has another disadvantage: the magnetopath transfers his own astral or psychic vibrations and character traits to the patient with his energy and, through this, indirectly affects and influences the patient astrally. There are books available on the subject of magnetism. That is why it is a prerequisite and a requirement that every magnetopath must be of a good and noble character. On the other hand, when the magnetopath is dealing with a patient whose character traits are worse than his own, then the magnetopath indirectly attracts these bad influences from the patient upon himself, which is in every respect a disadvantage for the magnetopath. A hermetically trained magnetopath does not expend his own vital energy upon the patient. Instead, he draws the vital energy out of the universe and allows it to flow directly through his hands into the ailing person with the wished concentration of health. Both these methods require frequent repetitions of the magnetizing if the patient is to achieve a rapid recovery, because the disharmony or ailment or the seat of the ailment absorbs and consumes the transferred energy quickly and craves more energy. That is why the treatment has to be repeated soon if you wish to prevent the condition from worsening. It is entirely different when the magician is the magnetopath. The patient will not feel any relief until the magician has opened himself astrally or psychically, namely when he has dynamically performed an accumulation of vital energy in his body and then emanated these light rays of vital energy into the ailing person. The magician can successfully employ many methods, but he always has to maintain the imagination with the concept of the wish that the patient will improve hour by hour and day by day. I will mention a few methods which the magician may employ in the treatment of ailments. Above all, the magician must be well versed in recognizing ailments and their symptoms. This knowledge can be obtained by a thorough study of the respective literature. It is of course self-evident that a good knowledge of human anatomy is a must. The magician will certainly not be so negligent as to treat ailments that require immediate surgical intervention, nor should infectious diseases be solely under the magician's care. But quite apart from the medical treatment, he has the ability in the above-mentioned instances to accelerate the healing process and to alleviate the pain. He can achieve this even from afar. It would also be a welcome addition if medical practitioners would specialize in this field and, in addition to the allopathic art, would understand how to employ the magical practice. That is why a magician should only deal with those patients that are directly referred to him by a medical doctor for this kind of treatment, or else work together with a medical doctor, in order to avoid being accused of quackery or charlatanism. Above all, a magician should have only one goal in mind: the welfare or well-being of the ailing person. He should not work in return for monetary rewards or any other selfish gratification, such as praise and acknowledgement. He should think only about the high ideal of kindness, hence the blessing will be inevitable. The idealistic magician helps those who suffer without their knowledge. This kind of help is the most blissful, I will cite a few of the most commonly used methods of which the magician may make use without running the risk of endangering his health and nerve energy. Before approaching the bed of an ailing person, inhale at least 7 times through your lungs and pores, accumulate an enormous amount of vital energy from the universe into your body, and let this vital energy shine like a sun in its brightest light. Endeavor through repeated inhalations of vital energy to call forth an emanating energy in a circumference of at least 10 to 12 yards of your body, which incidentally is equivalent to the vital energy of 10 human beings. You must have the feeling that the accumulated vital energy shines like a sun in your body. If you are in the vicinity of a patient when you embody that radiance, he will momentarily experience relief, a pleasant feeling will take hold of him, and should the ailment not to be too painful, he will immediately feel better. It is your privilege to transfer the accumulated luminous energy in a very individual manner to the patient. A schooled magician does not need to make use of magic strokes, nor does he have to do any laying on of hands. All these methods are only auxiliary manipulations and at the same time support an expression of his will. It would be completely adequate if the magician were to take one or both hands of the patient and work with his imagination. He can have his eyes closed or open, he can look at the patient if he so wishes, but he does not have to. Here he works merely with the imagination. The magician can also sit next to the patient during the entire energy transfer without coming into physical contact with him. Imagine that the emanating energy that surrounds you flows into the body of the ailing person and is being pressed into his body by your imagination and penetrates and illumines all his pores. While you are doing this, you order with your will that the compressed luminous energy bring about the recuperation of the ailing person. While you are doing this, you must constantly imagine that the ailing person improves hour by hour, that he looks healthier every day. You have to order the luminous energy not to leave the patient's body until his health is completely restored. When you charge the body of the patient quantitatively with the luminous energy, then in accordance with the ailment you will be able to bring about a surprisingly quick recovery. A healthy person's radiance range is about 1.09 yards. After a while, repeat this loading procedure, but you have to reinforce the tension of the luminous energy which you accumulated by concentration. The success you achieve will surprise you. First, the luminous energy cannot escape, because you have contained it and ordered it to constantly renew itself. Secondly, you have determined a time frame in which the body will become healthier hour by hour and day by day. Thirdly, you have determined the space which the energy is to occupy in accordance with the circumference of the body. It would also be advisable for the emanating energy to be contained to approximately 1.09 yards surrounding the body, which is equivalent to the emanation of an average person. With this method you will have fulfilled the fundamental condition of the material or physical law of time and space. When employing this method, the magician will notice that his own luminous energy, which he has transferred to the patient, does not diminish but continues to be as intensely luminous as it was at the beginning. This is due to the fact that the compressed vital energy in the body automatically renews itself, as with intercommunicating vessels, and thereby replenishes the consumed emanating energy immediately. Therefore, a magician has the ability to treat hundreds of ailing people without endangering his nerve energy, his spiritual or mental energies. There is yet another method that the magician can employ which allows him to treat the whole body or just an ailing part of the body. This is accomplished by pressing the vital energy directly through the pores with the imagination so that the vital energy continually renews itself from the universe until the recovery is completed. Even here you should not neglect the wish imagination of a limitation of time and space in which a recuperation is to be fully achieved. The above method can only be employed with patients whose nerve energy is not completely exhausted, in order that they may be able to endure a certain amount of pressure due to the accumulating vital energy. In the case of an experienced magician, the accumulated vital energy is already a materialized energy, that means a condensed physical energy, which can be compared to electricity. In comparison to other methods, this is the most popular because it is very simple and extremely effective. Another very peculiar method is that, with the help of the imagination, the magician allows the patient to inhale his own emanating luminous energy. Should the patient have the ability to concentrate, he can do this on his own, otherwise the magician has to perform the imagination for the patient. In practice, this is done in the following manner. The magician's luminous energy emanates up to a range of approximately 10.93 yards. Since the magician is in the patient's close proximity, the patient literally floats in the light of the magician's luminous energy, which is impregnated with the wish of complete recuperation. It is of the utmost importance that an ailing person who has the ability to concentrate be completely convinced that, with every breath, he inhales the luminous energy of the magician and becomes well. He must think very intensely that the healing energy remains within him, and that he progressively gets better even when the magician is no longer in his vicinity. Should the ailing person not be able to concentrate, or should the magician be dealing with ailing children, then he himself must imagine that the ailing person is inhaling the magician's emanating vital energy with every breath and directing it to the blood and thus affecting the recovery. Here, too, the magician must gather the wish concentration that the inhaled energy keeps on working positively in the patient's body. This is vital energy breathing conducted from the body of the magician through another person's body. Here we can refer to a quote from the Bible as proof of the statements made so far in this book. When Christ was touched by an ailing woman in the hope of getting well, he felt the loss of his vital energy immediately and made the following remark to the disciples that accompanied him: "I was touched." Always remember that time and space must be considered whenever you work with vital energy and magnetism. With this in mind, I have mentioned several examples in regards to the treatment of ailments, and I could mention many more methods in regards to the treatment of diseases from the point of view of magnetism or in which magnetism could be successfully employed. For example, the magician can make contact with the patient's spirit while the patient is asleep and effect many different methods of treatment. Besides treating ailing people magically with vital energy, the magician has the option to make use of the elements, magnetism and electricity. Detailed descriptions of all methods and possibilities of treatment would fill a very voluminous book. Perhaps I will have an opportunity in the future to publish a book about occult healing methods from the magical point of view and make it available to those magicians who are interested in this subject. However, for the time being I leave this to the future. In this work I can only allude to a few methods of treatment in regards to the concept of time and space, in other words, magnetism. High initiates and saints, whose imaginations are developed to such a degree that anything they imagine immediately becomes a reality in all spheres, do not require any of these methods. They only have to express a wish or their will and it immediately becomes a reality. Every single magician should strive to reach this high level of spiritual development.